I figured out why the countdown goes to like 16, but on my screen it goes to 2. Anyway, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Explorers Expresso. Dan Vaughn with you from here in Winnipeg. Good afternoon, and I'm watching myself on replay here to see if I sound okay. Let's see if it sounds okay. Not the best camera angle, not the most flattering. I have to move back here. There we go. There we go. Glad you guys are along today. We are in Winnipeg. I'm on the corner here of Portage Avenue. Portage is the main drag that goes right through town. And we're in the hotel lobby. Has a coffee shop, has a local Starbucks. So maybe I should put the graphic up that tells you where we're at, right? Anyway, all right, let's do that. There we go. Live from Canada. Live from Canada with Sioux City. Let's see. Team arrived yesterday about 6:15. It was about a 9-hour ride. We had one stop, and the border was a little. It wasn't long. Actually, coming out of the country in the States, it was a long line. I think there was a couple semis in front of us. What a bus! We go through a garage entrance, and there was no. They weren't manning it. So they had to wait for those guys to go man it. It takes 5 extra minutes or whatever, but it wasn't about as normal as a border crossing as you could get. There have been some years and some stories in this league. This was not one of them. This was very. The only thing is, we're light loaded. We were a very light trip up. We didn't have a lot of folks. I'll get to that in a moment. But bring this down here so I get my screen covered here. But very uneventful crossing. We made one stop around Watertown. They're in South Dakota. Yes, South Dakota. Other side of Brookings, I know that. That was it. And then, like I said, the stop at the border and then into Canada. And it's about an hour or so from the border to the city or the outskirts of the city. It takes a while to get in. It's an interesting place. It's a major city. It's a large city. It's got a big freeway that circles around the entire Winnipeg metro area. But coming in from the north and from the south, especially I don't know about the north, never to the north, but east and west, there is the Trans-Canadian Highway that goes toward Ontario, and then and it also goes to Saskatchewan and then Alberta, right? So going west. Going north and south, because Lake Winnipeg is about 40 minutes north, which I believe is the second largest freshwater lake in Canada, I believe. Or maybe it's the largest lake, but not a Great Lake. Does that make sense? The Great Lakes obviously are larger, but this is pretty big. Lake Winnipeg is huge, very shallow too. I didn't know that. But anyway, it's about 40 minutes north of here. And then south of the border, think I lost. There we go. Sorry about that. I lost you guys for a moment there. Sorry. Internet's a little wonky sometimes. I've shot this show here over the years in this location, in this Starbucks, probably the second most of any place else I've shot the show. The shop in Sioux Falls I've shot, but we don't shoot it there anymore. So I've shot this show probably here as much as I've shot anywhere. And it can be a little wonky. We're using the hotel Wi-Fi, which does use the lobby. But anyway, new hats. This is for sale there in the shop. I love this lid. The Iowa State outline on it. You've got not Iowa State, but the state of Iowa, not Iowa State. But by the way, I'm sorry about that. For you Iowa State fans, I want you guys to remember this. You're going to need to remember that. I told Mongo and Bobby that, and they looked at me like I was crazy. That's what they all say. They compared me and Bruce Fishback together because Bruce is obviously the University of South Dakota, and we're always talking, just you wait. I think those two schools are just you wait schools, right? Texas Tech. And howdy you for the have. Good to see you, sweetheart, too. But again, I shot this show here. Yes. Talking about the drive-in. Coming in, for example, if you go into Omaha, you've got Council Bluffs, but you got the interstate that goes east and west, right? And the north and south. So you've got a little bit of there's a freeway there. And if you want to get into Omaha proper, you take that 480 that goes around Omaha, that takes you toward Lincoln. Des Moines got something like, every city's got that, right? The bigger cities. And Winnipeg's a bigger city. This is an NHL town. Just a block down is where the Winnipeg Jets play. It's a major city in the state of Manitoba. It's the capital of Manitoba. But the oddest thing is, coming in from the south, it's not a freeway. You're on a 4-lane coming in. It'd be like going, say, it's like going 20 east of Sioux City and going out toward that direction, toward the other side of the state, and you never hit an interstate. And every time you hit a town, you hit the town, right? You got to go to the stoplight, whatever. It's sort of the way that's coming up in the south. Then you hit the outskirts of Winnipeg, it's the same thing. You got these little areas of Winnipeg you're going through as you're coming through. So it takes about, once you hit the city, it takes about 30 minutes to go downtown from the south or so. Once you hit you see the sign, welcome to Winnipeg, and you're still probably 35 minutes from being in the hotel. I compared it yesterday to somebody. I was telling them it's sort of like driving, you're in New York City or Chicago. It's like going to Chicago and not taking a freeway. It's like going from if you've been to Wrigley Field, take the road from Wrigley Field, take Addison, just take it west or wherever it goes southwest, I guess, and it'll take you a while to get anywhere. Or you take Lakeshore Drive, it'll get you somewhere. But instead of taking Lakeshore Drive, you take, I don't know, whatever, and you go south, and it'll take you a while to get back to downtown. And that's sort of the same way here. So anyway, long way to tell you that we made it. Glad we're here. A lot of guys kind of dispersed. I didn't see a lot of guys today. I saw Nick Gherkin and Jake Ortega in the lobby earlier. Scott Odom. I didn't see the guys last night. We got here again at 6:15. Most everybody pretty much, went their own way. And a whole evening here in Winnipeg. And usually for me, it's a fancy steak here. There's a couple steakhouses I like. Didn't do that. I went and did a little something different last night and talk about the air tonight, I guess, a little bit. Kind of found the Buffalo Wild Wings of Canada, which was basically what I found. But I'll tell you guys later tonight, I met the most interesting couple of dudes who climb for a living. They climb and install cell towers and radio towers. He was showing me videos of it, and I literally got sick at the pub bar, at the pub chair. I'm like, takes a special kind to do something like that. Anyway, back to baseball. Okay, I mentioned the team's a little light-handed here. I'm going to pull this down because there we go. I guess a better shot than me here. Not the most pretty shot, not the most flattering shot, but there we go. Back to baseball. To catch you up, team lost the series to Lincoln. That's behind us. I thought about this on my morning walk this morning. Every time we've played Lincoln and had a bad series, which is every series, right? We've lost all 4 series. All 4 series to Lincoln, we lost. Every time this team turned around and had a good run, whether it be a 4 out of 5, 8 in a row, took 3 series in a row, whatever. This team's responded. I think this team will respond well as well here, just because I think that the Lincoln thing, and I think Steve Montgomery will tell you. I'll ask him tonight in the broadcast. I think that team just sort of has our number. Um, it doesn't mean, as Connor Ryan and I were talking about on the broadcast on Sunday, it doesn't mean it'll happen like that during the postseason. It could very well flip. As a matter of fact, if you recall, that's happened a couple times in playoff history in this league. We've seen Sioux City teams who had somebody's number and it flipped. Playoffs are different animals. So I table that initial knee jerk and say, playoffs are a different animal. But you're glad they're behind you. You don't have to see them again, and they got to worry about what they got to worry about, and so be it, right? Sort of the way this thing will go. And you got to worry about your next 3 division opponents. They're all facing you. You've got Winnipeg tonight. You've got Kansas City this weekend, and you got Fargo early next week until you go to Gary. And so you got bang, 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 back to back. A chance to solidify your standing in the top 4, because after all, that's the goal is to get the postseason and taking chances. I don't know if anybody's going to catch Kansas City. I have no idea, but I think number 2 seed's very doable. As a matter of fact, the number 2 seed last year won the championship. Also last year, the year prior, the number 2 seed, number 1 seed won, but the number 2 seed won last year. 3 years ago in 20, it was that's the COVID year. The 2019 season, it would have been the 3 seed that won. The 18 season was the 3 seed that won. So what I'm telling you is, you get in, you've got a chance. Okay, I can go back to 2013 when Gary won it. They were the 3 or 4 seed overall and won the league. So getting in general, except for the last couple of years at Kansas City and Fargo, who are juggernauts, and even for Fargo, it was just this one last year. KC had that best record. They didn't win it last year. So the best record doesn't always mean you're going to win this thing. They did 2 years ago. So what I'm telling you is, you want to get in, and I think that's what lies ahead of you. 3 division series. Now the challenge will be big. The club is shorthanded. I believe, I'm not mistaken, it's 3 starting pitchers that are here, which is the 3 that will pitch this series, which will be tonight. Not on Thursday. The team also only has, I believe, 5 relievers. If I'm not mistaken, that would be Brandon Brosher, Nate Gherkin, Carlos Diaz, Sean Rakowski, and Brandon Heiss. That's your 5 relievers here. Okay? And I'll get to why they're not here in a moment, why these guys aren't here. And the position players, you're going to be down Sierra, Jimenez aren't here, and Daniel Perez aren't here. Now, the reason these guys aren't here is not because of anything they've done. It's nothing against that at all. Winnipeg has an advantage that no one else has. Canada is a different country, right? We all can establish that fact. Canada is a different country. They had different requirements to get in the country than we do crossing the border. It's probably easier to fly in here, but maybe not. It's a challenge. Certain players from certain players. I don't know what that means. Let's skip this. Oop. Who are you? I don't know who you are. Let's skip you. Sorry about that. I'm Dan Vaughn, voice of Sioux City Explorers. There you go. How about that? I'm not sure what that was, but again, it is it's a challenge because you can't bring your entire team up, and that's a unique advantage for various reasons. It's not let me put this back up again. It's an advantage. You have to, certain. I've done this for a long time. I've used to handle travel for a team in this league, and you had to, everything's got to match, and certain players can't get in for various reasons. There's various reasons. Canada has certain requirements that you got to fill out from other countries. Luckily, for most Americans, it doesn't affect anybody from the U.S. or U.S. territory. It doesn't affect. Commonwealth no longer really. There we go. I'll tell your driver he's a wuss. Okay. You may tell him that. Let me tell Rich. It's Rich or Rick. I can't remember what his name is. But anyway, speaking of one of the guys that's here to my right, I won't tell you, but he looks a lot like Brendan Brosher. I swear it looks a lot like him. I swear I came to Canada. There's a guy that looks a lot like Brendan Brosher standing right to my right, but I can't be him because we're in Canada. He's one of the anyway. The point was is that certain restrictions getting in, and that's limited the roster. And again, I'm not going into the reason for each one. And it's the way it is, okay? And this is legal entry. This is not unlawful entry. This is legal entry in the country, okay? So we have to have every for example, we send a list to the border, and we have 23 we had 23 folks on the bus last night. That includes driver, broadcast, training, coach. So 6, and yeah, we're 23. Is that right? Yeah, so we were down. Yeah, which would leave us with the five relievers, 3 starters. That's 8, and I believe we had 9 position players. So you're gonna be a little shorthanded. And again, it's coming here. It's not. There's no injury issues. It's just the way it is. And there's no reason to either get a guy detained at the border. Usually that just means they sit back across the border. But we bring the entire team up and they get not let in. Well, what are they going to do? Sit there at the border and twiddle their thumbs for 3 days? So rather than go through the hassle, we bring a limited team up in this situation. Over the years, Sioux City's done that. Other teams have too. Years past, it was because of vaccination requirements. I can tell you when I was in Kansas City the last couple of years, last year anyway, it wasn't a problem getting in and out per se. There was a couple that didn't make the trip. That's been the case. It wasn't the case before. What's changed is the list of countries that have been a problem. Like, for example, when I was in Gary, we had a couple of players from Colombia, and there was a lot of vetting had to be done, and we were able to get them in because we had to go do in the Venezuelan players. We had to go back and look, get their parents' histories. It was like a 5 to 6 page document to be filled out. That I had to fill out for every player who was not a U.S. citizen or part of the Commonwealth. Of course, we have 2 Canadians, and that didn't make a difference. When Sanford and Lloyd stepped up, they were welcome home, mate. I didn't say mate, welcome home. I did joke with Matt Lloyd. I said, did the music go off? Did Canada go off? Did like little confetti come out? Did they do like some kind of, they sing the national anthem when you came back? I mean, how does that work? But you got a nice little kick out of that. Okay, so that's the situation you're in. And it's not ideal, but it's basically, with the exception of the extra men, what would happen if we went to Kane County for a weekend, or when we went down to Texas, for example. Salmon's not here. He started on Sunday. There's no reason to bring Salmon Bates here, have him tired on a ride up and back, and have him pitching on Friday after being on a bus all night. So Salmon would not have made a trip. So he's not here either. But you're starting pitchers for Friday and probably Saturday. Well, Saturday we'll be back, so he'll be back. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday's pitch probably be Sorry about that. I keep losing the internet here, so sorry. What happens if we play? Don't take players' bitches against me. That's the scary part. You take your chances. But think about it, and not that you're a jinx. I'm not saying you are, but this season, how often does that happen? Well, we've had some injuries. We've had injuries, but you're just hoping for the best case scenario. You got 3 games. You're not going to take any chances. I think that you've got a good. You're going to have a good lineup here. There should be some guys retired. You're going to be no options. This has been. We had a situation like this. When was it? We had a road trip. We had no extra men. We were in Kansas City. Position players. Delvin. Good point. Delvin's in here. Delvin can pitch in a pinch. He could pitch. So that'd be a possibility. And somebody was telling me, I forgot who it was that can play position in a pinch. And it's happened before, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. Rick says, Rich. You got Rick and Rich, right? Rich and Rick. Speaking of Canada, there they go. Sanford and Lloyd walking down the street in their native country. They're not from here, but it's gonna be cool for them, though. I know that the family will be here for one. I don't know both, but anyway. Let's see here. Here we go. Got Dan Vaughn with you for a little espresso for a few more minutes. I didn't have a lot today. I just want to get you guys sort of in the mood for what's going on. There we go. So again, we're going to be a little shorthanded, but tonight, let me remind you the recipe for Explorer success. Okay, this is not Sioux Falls where you're going to score 10 runs and run through 5 pitchers. This is not what they do. This club is going to that is a bit odd. I don't know what you're going to see in this city. I'm not sure I want to describe what I just saw. A little shocked, but okay. I was like, what? Did you see that? Okay, where was I? Okay, get my wheels back on. Okay. You're in a city. You see some things in the city. Although, city I spent a lot of time in, I don't think I've seen that. Glad the camera wouldn't face that way is all I can say. Okay, way this team wins is 6-7 for the starter, inning each from a reliever and the closer. And I think that's what you're going to be going through here. That's the recipe. If you get upside down the ball game, that will probably mean that your starter will stay out there. You won't as long as the guy's healthy. Let's say one of your starters goes out and gets knocked around for 7 or 8 runs. As long as he feels okay, you'll probably have to wear it and stay out there and eat the innings up because you're not going to have any bodies. There's no long reliever. There's no Pagero or Tokar to come in and give you a long relief. So that is situation. The lineup will be a little different. You're going to miss Miguel Sierra at short, but you've got with Kasser on the right side, you'll probably have Delbin at short. That's my guess, because Delbin did play short initially when he first got here. I imagine Lloyd plays third, and your first base will be Rando. Ortega will catch, and your center field combo will be Fernandez, I would imagine, and then Oda and Harris in center, with your DH probably being Sanford. That's my guess. That's sort of the way I think it'll transpire here. But, or the DH will be whoever doesn't play the outfield DHs. Like if it's Sanford plays right, then maybe it's Oda DH. But I imagine it'll be Harris, Oda, and Fernandez in some form or fashion in the outfield. So that's what I think will happen. But, again, that's what the team will shorthanded here. Okay, game tonight, 6:35. That's the plan. Austin will be in the studio. I have got most of the game prep done except for the Sioux City baseball flashback, which I haven't done that yet. That's going to be my next project, which will be done. I'll jump into that in just a few moments. So who knows what I'll find in that little extravaganza. I'll have Steve Montgomery on the pregame today. A couple more things coming up, and I've got these for you, and I don't have any graphics for you, but let's see here. Is Chase Harris Hernandez been? Oh, I'm sorry. I see the questions here. Chase Jason is a gamer. He is a guy that you've seen him make plays running into walls, throwing his body with no concern for his body's safety in all kinds of directions. He is just one of those kind of players that will literally run the wall. I think, he's a little banged up. He had been a little banged up over the course of the year. He played the first 48 games in a row. Is that right? I think that's correct. He was the last guy to get a day off, but Vince Fernandez gave a day off would have been in Lake Country. He's been getting more days off lately. I think what you're seeing is a little more depth and Steve Montgomery trying to give those guys a day off. It's also sort of what the hot hand is. Vince Fernandez has been a real solid with the RBIs. Matt Lloyd was playing in the outfield as well. You want to keep him in the lineup. You're trying to keep as many bats in the card as you can without sacrificing your defense. I mean, that's sort of what are you going to do? Chase is probably admittedly struggled a little, but he had a 3-for-3 day Saturday. Was it Saturday or Friday? I forget which one it was. He's, I think the biggest thing is, Jason, he's been banged up. And I think just getting a day here, a day there has been part of it. And also, that stretch where the team won those games on the road in Fargo, you had, you had Lloyd Fernandez, and your outfield was Lloyd Fernandez, and, your top three were Lloyd Fernandez, and you had Rando, your top three of the order. And and so that was sort of, your leadoff spot had been going. I think you'll see Chase tonight. I think it's more than anything. It's not that he's hurt; he's banged up, and I think he's getting more time off than he would normally get because they've got more depth. And you're going to need Chase Harris's love in center field in August. You're going to need him in the postseason. You're going to need healthier, and that'll be a plus. What else we got here? Is it you're dying to know? A woman in a state of undress went down the street. I'm just telling you. She had a blanket on and a cocktail dress that was sort of awry, and she was laughing like something was funny. I didn't think it was very funny at all. I was very scared. And the security guard was chasing her to call the police. I assume that's who she was calling. And the bewildered look on people's faces walking down the street were like, you got people that are coming on lunch break or coming off lunch break. We're all around skyscrapers here. They're going to work, and they're like, these two women probably in their 60s were just kind of walking back to work, and they're like looking around going, they looked at each other like, kind of like, as a woman ran by them laughing. So let's see here. It could be. I did put some photos up on the Facebook page, on Sioux City's Facebook page of the drive up. You can see one of the photos, the smoke around the border. It's not so bad here, but down between here and the border crossing, you can see it on the prairie. Not so bad here. Walk of shame, I don't know. She was laughing. She knew that was funny. So I don't know. Let's see here. What else we got here? Last call for questions and comments. I don't know. There is a thing going on right now called the Fringe Festival. I don't know if you guys know much about that. I've seen these in Australia, in Adelaide and Perth, because they have them. That's a big thing in Australia. It's a big thing, and we don't really have them much in the States. I don't think. I think San Francisco's got a big one, maybe Seattle, but and I'm not really sure how to describe it. But it's sort of they call it the Fringe. And it usually is got it's got concerts, and they've got movie screenings, and they've got concerts, and they've got comedians and different kinds of action. All that. Who's your home run leader? Home run leader is, drum roll please, Vince Fernandez. Vince Fernandez, home run leader. I think he's got 12. Matt Lloyd's got 10. That's your 1 and 2. Everybody else that makes 4, 5, 6 ish, somewhere there. Those are 2 big home run leaders right there. What happens? Let's see. What happens if we don't? We already saw that. I'm sorry. We already saw that question. Sorry about that. Yeah, but that's going on. And one of my 2 little walking courses I do here in Winnipeg, I do one that I go down by the Capitol building and down by the Parliament and kind of walk this long park that's a World War I memorial park. World War I was very big to the Canadian people, obviously very big in the States, but they were first involved in World War I, and they were partners with us in World War II, allies, of course, but they were sort of sat out. They sat a little on the side. I can say that the Canadian Air Force and the Canadian troops did help Great Britain in World War II before we did. But in World War I, it was a well-known fact that Canada was before we were in World War I. And Canada was deeply involved in that conflict. And there's a couple of World War I monuments here, one down the street by the Bank of Montreal. It's a soldier from World War I. And then there's this World War I park that you can walk through. And I think it's really kind of cool just to walk through it. And I like to go that way. The other way I walk through is down close to the Exchange District, which is a historic district by the ballpark. But I turned and I went this kind of into what they call Chinatown. And that's on the edge of that is where the Fringe Festival is. They got streets blocked off. They got vendors, and they've got a theater set up. They had a theater for some screenings of movies. They had a stage set up down there. And this was going on a couple of years ago when I was up here. And I believe it goes on for a couple of weeks. I think it started the last couple of days. And they had some early morning folks milling around down there, but they hadn't had anything going on yet. I love Solid Bates, but I'm surprised he's still here this year with the year he's having. Good point, Jason. I will tell you what little I know, but I will tell you that he's been close. There's interest out there. I think Solomon, I'd be, as much as I want Solomon here next year, I'd be shocked if he was. Not because he's going to retire. It's not the case at all. He's got big league stuff. He's got big league abilities. He's got a big league mentality. And I think he's got something. And I mean by that, he's around the plate a lot. He's not afraid to throw strikes. If he gets a home run up or a hard hit ball, it doesn't go to his shell. He's got confidence he didn't have before by pitching in Venezuela. And I know he's going back to Venezuela. I would love to have him in Australia. I think that I tell you where I think he has a really good shot. If he doesn't get a crack at the big league roster or say an invite to spring training, which I think he'll get an invite to spring training. Someone's going to invite him to spring training this year. I don't know who that'll be. But I think someone will. If he doesn't get invited to spring training next year, I would love to see him playing either in the KBO or in the Chinese in Taiwan. And I think he fits that KBO style because what you get in Korea and Japan, a lot more finesse. But I've seen guys go over because he's a change of pace there. He's a big guy, a right-hander who throws hard, and he gets a lot of movement up and down the zone. Where in Korea and Japan, you get a lot of this stuff, a lot of in and out, a lot of sink. He brings a different approach. And I've seen over the years good American arms have gone over and done very well in both KBO and in the Nippon. And I think he would be, and the money's really good there too. I can see him doing that, but I'd be shocked if he didn't get a spring training invite. I mean, that's really the thing. He's going to have a chance to probably make his choice, and it's going to come down to organizations where he wants to go. I mean, perhaps being a catcher in the Braves system is different than being a catcher in the Twins system, right? Because of maybe the way the prospects line up. His situation may be we're going to the, going to the I'm just throwing out organizations out there, but let's say the Blue Jays as opposed to Orioles. Maybe there's a better pathway there. It also depends what his agent says, what the scouts are going to say, what the farm directors are going to say, what opportunities are out there for him. So I think that's very big too. Okay, let's don't stop, please. Can my wife just stop, please? Stop. I love you, but we not have to. We don't. I don't want to get. You know, I don't get any kind of political on here, so let's not get that. Well, I did because I didn't talk about Canada. Let's see here. Let's play hard. Let's play hard. Get a win. Uh, I'll tell Rich. I will. He's a good guy, though. I will just tell you this. And Rick, you'll hear this story. I'm not going to share this story at all. As a matter of fact, I was going to go on the air yesterday and do a live show, but then we had a situation come up. It wasn't tragic or anything. It was very humorous, but I just want to protect the innocent. Okay, how am I going to do this? And luckily, it stopped me from doing the show, which is probably good because it would have been really hard to explain what was going on. But I'll explain to you down the road, Rick. You'll get a kick out of it. But I can't. Some things you guys just can't hear. Okay, all right. Go X's. All right. Last call here. Again, Trent Topicard. Now tonight, originally was going to be Travis Seabrook. He's still going to pitch for Winnipeg. They got a young kid's pitching the first few innings that they just signed, and I don't rule about him. Who's our stolen base leader? That would be. It's a tie. Actually, it's percentage-wise. It's is Chase Harris. The overall is Delvin Zinn. Zinn, I believe, has got 14. Chase has got 14. Zinn's 14 to 17. I think that's right. And then actually, and also, I did speak to them by the way the other day, and they're excited. They had a Ramadan house night on Friday. I didn't get them up in the booth. But I did talk to a couple of the folks there. As a matter of fact, they have that right here. Yeah, and not. Well, anyway, we had a really good chat. But yes, get 3 Ws. Miss you guys. See you soon. Yes. On the air tonight, we will be on the air at 6:05. Austin will be in the studio. Let me go ahead and give you the updates here. There's you got Baseball TV. Baseball TV for our TV side of things, and our radio side, which is really cool. Somebody asked me the other day, and I actually told this to some folks in Kansas City. I'm going to put this on the screen so you'll see what I'm saying. We are so lucky to have a radio station. Winnipeg has a radio station. We have a radio station. I believe Gary has a radio station, don't they, Keith, or not? Are they still on WeFM? But radio deal at Fargo has a radio station deal. But Kent County doesn't. Chicago doesn't. Lake Country doesn't. Milwaukee doesn't. Cleburne doesn't. Kansas City definitely doesn't. 7. Who am I missing here? Sioux Falls did until this year. We're very fortunate to have KSCJ as our partners. Yeah, I believe so too. I think they are on the air. We're so lucky that our partner KSCJ and Pound Broadcasting. Baseball belongs on the radio. I envision this is what I love about the game. I remember a couple of years ago when I was in Gary. My brother's fiance Stephanie was driving from Illinois back to Indiana, and she picked the game up and like messaged me going, "I'm hearing on the air right now." You know. We're very fortunate. have, and what makes it Lincoln. Yes, Lincoln. Yeah. There we go. Sorry about that. All right, we can shut it off because it's wonky. The Wi-Fi is spotty today. Should be fun. It's been pretty good here. Well, tomorrow the show will be back again at noon. I've done the show from a couple spots here in Winnipeg over the years, so maybe I'll find one of those. It's hard to, because we are international. For me to data and run it on my data is useless. So tethering is usually what we do when we're on the road, but we won't do it. We'll fight back tomorrow. We'll hopefully have a few highlights, perhaps. If not, we'll talk about last night, which will be tonight. Tonight again at 6:05, we'll be on the air pregame show. Steve Montgomery will join me. We'll get ready for the first of three against Winnipeg. Trying to win a series, get back on the winning track, and really, you find yourself top four. You're right in the mix between Lincoln second. They're a game ahead of you. You've got Fargo a half game ahead of you, and so you're a game out of second, and you're a half game out of third. I mean, you're right where you need to be, and you're playing better baseball in July. One more win will equal the win total of June, and you've still got another, 6 more games of July still. So you're set where you want to be. All right, you guys ready? See the broadcast tonight. By the way, our friends from Hawks, big tip of the cap to them. Hawks is spreading because the Lincoln Salt Dogs had, not only did Nate Sampson go in there and Nick Anderson go in there, they had two of the relief pitchers in there. And Keenan, there was a starter, was in there. Leal, one of the relievers, was in there. Back-to-back days. Getting the X's Expresso, you should go there too in Hawks. If you're in Sioux City, go to Hawks and Sergeant Bluff. Get that X's Expresso. It is a iced coffee with s'mores foam designed by Solomon Bates. Get you one of those at $1 going to the American Legion post 662 there in Sergeant Bluff. So go by and see them at Hawks there in Sergeant Bluff. Also, a couple things this week. I'll talk more about the broadcast again tomorrow. They're trying to arrange a watching party Wednesday at the Wheelhouse. Now, if you guys are interested, Molly, I think Molly put this out there on social, but they're trying to get a watching party up for Wednesday. If you're in, you want to go, it'd be great to get to the Wheelhouse. They got the big screens there, put the game up, and listen to our broadcast and watch from Winnipeg on Wednesday. So check that. And if you want to go ahead and vote. I think there's a post on Facebook. Go vote on there. Say, yeah, we're in. We want to do it. And then for you folks this week, there's a flyover on Saturday. I'll have more details on that because I left the details upstairs in the room, but I'll have those in the broadcast tonight, and then tomorrow. But a big flyover this weekend. It's a really cool event going on Saturday. I'll have all those details for you tonight on the broadcast. All right, guys, ready? Here we go. It's 1, 2, 3, go X's, and we'll see you on the broadcast. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go X's. I'll see you on the broadcast. Not everybody.